Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to the Since I Was Young podcast. And we are back after a brief few weeks off, I guess. Was it, if you want to call it that. But yes, we are back with some more footballing news, more specifically Heart of Midlothian, for all the latest news, chats and reviews. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan, and Alan. Alan, how are you doing? So you all good?
Yeah, I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. Time of recording is the 1st of November, and I've had my first day because I'm doing a charity run throughout the month of November.
Good lad, well done.
30 kilometres across the month of November. So, but stupidly, I've decided to do double it. So it's
amazing, mate. But fuck that, honestly. Fuck that for a laugh, honestly. But nah.
Do you know, it's in aid of Samaritans, good cause, and all
Definitely,
that.
Mate. Well done on that one, mate.
Yes, I've just not been long out, so knackered, but we know.
Well done, mate. Well done. But yeah, we did put up a post not too long ago that we did hit a milestone that we did want to hit before Christmas time, and we hit 150 subscribers. So to everyone that has subscribed, thank you very much. Honestly, guys, it is greatly appreciated. I know we say this every single podcast, but we do actually really appreciate all the support, etc. And we've got a wee something just to say thank you, and we're going to be giving away a beautiful print that Alan has got in his hands. It's not one, we've got 2 prints to give away. That's how much we love you guys.
We have teamed up with @sporting_iconic on Twitter. He runs a store where they do lots of prints similar to this one, the glorious goal of Stefan Adam on that day in 1998. So we've got 2 of those to give away to you lovely people. There will be a tweet put out when this podcast goes live with instructions of how you can enter the giveaway. Just as Ewan said, a little token of appreciation and thanks for 150 subscribers. So yeah, as I say, tweet will go live after this podcast goes live, and follow the instructions on there.
And lastly as well, if you want to get in contact with us through our socials as well, you can. We are at SIWY Pod over at Instagram, Facebook and Twitter as always. And if you want to get in contact with us through our email, you can, since I was young 1874@gmail.com. And if you want to get in touch with either myself or Alan as well, both the links to our Twitter pages as well will be in the description, as well as my YouTube channel, What Ewan's Doing. So we've missed a few weeks, and by fuck, I'm so glad we missed those few weeks. I will not lie. So of course, we weren't here to do any sort of reviews for all of the 3 games that have been played this week, which was all of Dundee, St Johnstone, and more recently Aberdeen with a 2-1 loss at Pittodrie. So basically the plan is that we're going to kind of roll all these games into kind of one big review, because let's face it, there's not much to actually say, and there's a pretty recurring theme throughout those 3 games as well. So we will talk about that all as one. And our main topic for the podcast as well was that we're going to do a review of the season thus far with the 12 games that have been played. So yeah, that is going to be our main topics and talking points for the podcast as well. And of course as well, we will do the preview of the Dundee United game at the end of the episode, and that'll kind of round things off for this episode of the podcast. So yes, Alan, as we just said there, we're going to kick things off with not a 1, not a 2, but 3 mental kicking the stones. Hearts are back. We're shite again. We're back. Here we go.
Yeah, that title challenge is in the bin.
Oh, well and truly, sir. But hey, we'll probably be challenging for the championship next season, so don't you worry about that, sir. So, I don't really know where to actually start because there's a lot of things to talk about, but at the same time, there's not really a lot to talk about in terms of the actual games themselves. I watched most of the games in the sense that I got to watch half of the Dundee game, most of the St Johnstone game, and all of the Aberdeen game. And in my personal opinion, I think it's kind of been like a steady decline in terms of how much the players kind of not like in terms of their performance and how much they actually wanted it as such. Because I thought for the Dundee game, I thought we actually played quite well, but in terms of being critical in our sort of the chances against Dundee, we just didn't take them. And then ultimately, in true Hearts fashion, we gave them one chance and they took it, unfortunately. And then again, for the St Johnstone game, I don't think we played as well, but at the same time, I don't think it was one of our worst sort of displays, especially considering our dismal record up in Perth as well. But going to St Johnstone again, it is a hard place to actually go. So I think a draw was maybe in retrospect a good result to actually have. And then of course as well, Saturday as well, that was the worst performance I have seen this season. In my sort of view, there weren't, maybe apart from a select few, no players were interested. Nobody wanted it. Nobody was trying to show interest in trying to get something out of the game. We fully deserved to get beat, and that's kind of where I stand on it. So, rant over, mate. What about yourself?
Well, I think I'll say first of all, obviously, at home to Dundee, we should be winning that.
Mm-hmm.
Away to St Johnstone, if someone had offered me a point beforehand, I probably would have taken it.
Yeah.
And away to Aberdeen, it's one of
kind
those
of
games
there,
that they've,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've picked up a lot recently. In their last few results have been very positive. So, like you said, we didn't turn up against Aberdeen and deserved to get beat. But I think it's a really difficult one because for me, I know you said about the Dundee, about St Johnstone, Aberdeen. I watched the entirety of Dundee. I watched half of St Johnstone, and I missed the Aberdeen game as I was watching Scotland win at rugby because my other half is a rugby nut rather than a football fan. So,
oh mate, I fucking can't stand the rugby, but I would have watched that in an instant.
Do you know, it was one of those that obviously the rugby kicked off at 2:30 and the football started at 3. So I was like, okay, if the rugby's rubbish, I'll just switch to football at 3. It's fine. Oh. But yeah, I was overruled on that one, and we continued to watch the rugby. So at the end, I was actually quite relieved that I didn't watch the Aberdeen game. But going back to the Dundee fixture, first of all, like you said, we had chances. It was a typical performance that we've seen this season when, without Boyce. It's just, obviously Boyce got injured in that game. And I love Nandule. I really, really do. I really like him. But we're going to talk about this later on, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so we might as well start crossing the bridge now.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think that he is either better in a 2 or he needs people around him. The system needs to be played for him. In the Dundee game specifically, when Boyce went off injured, he brought on Nandule, which is the natural substitution you would make. But it was almost like Nandule was just told to play like Boyce and in the same system and the same setup, which is not going to work.
No.
It's not going to work because he's not that kind of striker. And I've said this multiple times on Twitter as well, that Nandule needs the service. Boyce doesn't. Boyce can make things happen for himself.
Yeah.
Nandule can't do that.
No.
And that's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It's just he needs the right wingers around him or the right runners off him to help. We saw it in the St Johnstone game when Ginnelly scored the goal. It was Nandule was dropping deep and he was involved.
Yeah.
And then he flicks the ball through and it goes to Ginnelly, who's run off him, and Ginnelly scores. That's what Nandule can do. But against Dundee, as soon as Boyce went off, I thought, right, this is not happening.
No, I mean,
then, no, and I was just going to say then when Cummings came on, I thought it's written.
It's written. I know.
Going to score. It was either going to be the thumb or Cummings, and obviously we kept the thumb incredibly quiet for the time he was on the park.
Yeah.
Due to some wonderful chanting from the Hearts supporters, which we won't go into. Allegedly.
Thank you. Allegedly.
But yes, and then obviously Jason Cummings came on, and I thought, yeah, like it's a typical game where we've had chances, we haven't been able to kill it, and the goal is so frustrating.
Don't even get me started on that. I don't, genuinely, I don't even want to talk about it because, like you said, it's such an easy chance. And again, I don't know how many times we said this, but again, we literally just switched off for a few seconds, and then that sort of cost us, was it 2 points,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of those, you could speak about individual players. I think Halkett missed the header. Benny is the one that Cummings ran off of him, and yeah, it's one of those. It's frustrating because obviously we should have had the game won, but like you said at the start, Hearts are back, and typical things like that happen to us. So why are we surprised?
Which is the whole reason why we started this podcast in the first place, because we needed a place to vent, just to vent. And now it's back, and I feel fucking delighted. I mean, just before we move on, there is just one point I would like to actually make as well. Again, it was more concerning the Aberdeen game. What did you think of the starting lineup? Because I won't lie, granted, I know that, which I do agree with, you can play Nando in the same sort of setup as we would with the boys there. You know what I mean? I know that he's got to have more sort of service and chances made for him as such, but the fact, I'll get it on my phone, but the fact that just off the top of my head that
I'm just bringing it up now.
Yeah, bro. The fact that he dropped the Barry Mackay, which was it wasn't like I was angry about it, but it was just such a strange one, because ever since he's kind of taken over from Mackay Stevens, he's been on fire. He's genuinely not put one foot out of place since he's been starting. Now, I thought, with the squad as it was, minus the boys, yeah, granted, I know that you're going to have to change something, but it just didn't feel the same team at all. And that was just one thing that kind of surprised me about it. And obviously with the questionable subs as well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think as well, just to pick up on what you're saying, I think he went with Ginnelly because Ginnelly played very well and scored against St Johnstone. I think I posted on Twitter that I'm not saying I thought Ginnelly should have been dropped, because to drop
no,
criminal. But what I'm saying is that I think Ginnelly played well against St Johnstone, but my worry was, is he fit enough to play 2 games in such a short space of time together?
Of course, yeah.
Having not seen the full Aberdeen 90 minutes, I've just literally seen highlights, because that's all I could be forced to put myself through. There was something that just wasn't quite right, and I don't know if it maybe was a fitness thing, because he's literally picked virtually the same team from the Dundee game to the St Johnstone game to the Aberdeen game. There wasn't many changes. I think he brought Halliday in for Cochrane. He's kept Benny and Devlin have played all 3 games. The defensive 3 has been the same for all 3 games. and the forward line has changed, obviously, with Nandule coming in, and then the wingers changing. But I don't know, and I think this is one of the things that I was going to say, and I'll say it now, that we do have a very small squad. We have 20 players in our first team squad, which I think might even be the smallest squad in the league. We've been lucky so far that we haven't had injuries, because if we did, the backup options in certain positions, there's not a lot of them. And I think that against Aberdeen, perhaps, or maybe even St Johnstone, going away to St Johnstone, I would have. I'm not saying that Benny or Devlin should have been dropped, because I wouldn't, but tiredness in the middle of the park is a big thing. And I think when you've got a Haring or an Aaron McAnuff on the bench,
like that was part of it, like as well. Like, I mean, look, I have backed this man. I have fought tooth and nail for him, right? But why the fuck did he bring Halliday on? Like, if they want to sort of, try and get something out of that game, why are you bringing on him? What? Why? Like, you know what I mean?
I know.
Like,
I know. It's crazy. It really is. It is one of those, and I mean, I would even make a case to say that Taylor Moore should have played at least one of the 3 games. Halkett, I'm not. Listen, everybody has a bad game every now and again. Everybody makes a mistake.
Like, of course,
Halkett made a mistake against Dundee that was contributed to the Dundee goal. I'm not saying he should get dropped off the back of that. No. But, bring Taylor Moore in for the St Johnstone game. Bring some other players in that haven't had a chance to play that many minutes. And the Halliday situation, I've watched that. We're going to go into it now.
I know, man, of course. Like, and just before you say anything, for all as much I can ruffle some, like, the feathers of certain people, I am genuinely going to like give you my honest like, opinion on it, but I will let you start off first, Alan.
I will say the only thing I'm going to say about it is that I have seen tackles this season worse than that one, not given red cards. I have seen tackles not as bad given red cards. So it goes back to the whole consistencies of referees. I've watched it 3, 4, 5 times, and every time I watch it, I think,
I know, man, I get you.
There is a case for a red, and I'm not going to say I think the ref was right to send him off. I'm not going to say I thought he was wrong. I'm going to do the typical Alan thing that happens on this podcast and sit on the fence on it.
Oh, dude.
As to not trigger certain sections of Heart supporters. Because I'm not a lover of Andy Halliday either. People know this. I'm not a huge fan of him. I don't really see what he brings us anymore. That players that we have in the squad don't. I know you talk about his fight and his passion and all that, and I get that. I do get that, but there's a time and place for that.
I get that.
As I say, there've been worse tackles that I've seen this season not get sent off. So that's about as much of a defence as I can have for Andy Halliday. No,
man, of course. And this will be the last thing that we say on these 3 games, and we'll get on to the season review. But literally, what I will say, God strike me down if I am lying. Okay, so like you said, I completely agree that I've seen I've seen worse tackles that have, i.e., not got like a card, or at worst they've got a yellow for it. But what I will say on it is that Halliday shouldn't have been on the park in the first place, right? Now, concerning Andy Halliday as a player, I'll be very honest about it. I think he was a player that was part of a squad to get us out of the championship, right? So obviously his kind of purpose in the actual team is a bit lost now. Now, what I will say is that like you said there, I think he's got the passion. I do genuinely think that he gives 100% for the games that he plays, good like or shite, like, you know what I mean. But I think even if it's just for this season, because I believe that he's in the last year of his contract, I do genuinely think that he's a fine backup to actually have. And I feel as if there are a lot worse players to actually have. Granted, I know we've had some shitters, but you know, on his day, he can do a job in terms of a simple job if he's required to. But I think one thing in defense of him, I do think, and anybody can like like scream at me like blah 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 like because I don't care. But this is my like sort of view on it. I think he can genuinely sometimes get unfair flack when other people can make similar mistakes and have like shite games, but not get the flack drawn at them as much as Halliday does sometimes. Right, I'm not saying for any sort of bad shit that he does. Yeah,
no,
that he shouldn't get any sort of flack for it. But I think genuinely in the same sense,
he's an easy target.
Aye, like in the same in the same sense as with Robbie, like if he puts even the slightest foot wrong, bang, straight away it's like out, Robbie out. Like what I mean? But I'm just saying, like I think something he can get a bit of like sort of unfair flack, but I'll be very honest. I don't think he's going to actually be here once the season's done. Like so I think he's done what he was meant to do in terms of last year, and I think sadly he'll have to part ways. But I'll just have to deal with that somehow. But it's all good. So yeah, I think that kind of wraps us off for those 3 games. Thank fuck. So we'll move swiftly into what is our season review so far of the first quarter of the Scottish Premiership. Now, gonna just talk about our general sort of thoughts on what we think the season for Heart of Midlothian has been. So, Alan, I mean, I can let you kick things off. So we played 12 games, and I'm going to try and do this off the top of my head without even staring at the league. We've won 5. All right, okay, you're not going to go yes, no, fucking hell, right? So we've won 5.
Yes.
We've drawn 6, and we've lost 1.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm back. I am back, baby. Here we go, boys. Sorry. So
we've only been away for a week. Like we've missed 3 games, but we've been away for a week. And in that week, like I said at the start, in that week, the title challenge has thrown away.
There we go. We are back.
Don't blame us. Don't blame us. Like we took a week off and Hearts went to shit. So don't blame us. All right.
There you go. So yeah. So just to start it off with yourself, Alan, if you had been told that this was going to be the outcome after 12 games, would you have been relatively happy with that, or would you have expected more? Would you have expected less? What would be your general thoughts on that, man?
Well, before a ball was kicked this season, if someone had said to me 3rd place after 12 games, I probably would have said, fair enough. I'll take that. Like it's
absolutely,
it's easy for us to sit here and talk about, each game in isolation and talk about, oh, that was a draw we should have won. That was a draw we should have won. But the fact is we didn't win them. Do you know what I mean? It's annoying. It's annoying. But like I said, there's 2 really different schools of thought on this. You either have people that look at it and go, look where this team was 6 months ago. Look where this team was 18 months ago. Look where we were the last time we were in the Premier League. It's night and day compared to then. Last season in the Premier League, well, obviously prior to our championship season, we won 4 games in a season. You know, it baffles me. I understand the school of thought of people who say, oh, you know, we should be at least 6 points better than we are right now. And I get that. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I think it's easy to look at the games individually and say, you know, Ross County, we should have won.
Yeah.
Dundee at home, we should have won. Aberdeen at home, we had chances to win. Hibs at home, we had chances to win.
Yeah.
It's easy to go through those games and pick out individual moments and go, yeah, that should have been 3 points. That should have been 3 points. But the fact is, if you find yourself, and this is something that I'm going to say, if you find yourself complaining after 12 games and we've only lost 1, you need to give your head a wobble. What is the cause for complaints? I know football fans of every football club are fickle. You know, your team can win 5-0 one week and then get battered the next week, and you're, you know, praising the manager for his style of play and his tactics and his substitutions one week, and then he makes a bad decision the week after, and suddenly it's right, you shouldn't be in the job, that tactic's crap. You know, it's the nature of football fans.
Yeah.
But long story short, if someone had said to me at the start of the season, before we kicked off against Celtic, after 12 games, you'll be sitting third, I would have said, yeah, I'll take that. Thanks very much. What about yourself? I know I've had a wee rant there, but what about you?
Not at all. I think the best phrase to describe myself is frustratingly happy. if that's ever been said ever by anyone, frustratingly happy. Like, I think, like you said there, I think I would be inclined to agree with the fact that if somebody said, look, would you take being on 21 points, sitting third, only 3 or 4 points behind Rangers now? Is that right?
3 points, I think it is now.
3
I'm
points,
not sure actually.
Aye, and you've taken 4 points from the Old Firm, and you've not been beat by Hibs. I would have said absolutely, and I think where a lot of the frustration, like you just said there, comes from, and in terms of some fans jumping on it straight away, I think because as each game has went by since the first game against Celtic, because at the start of the season the expectations were so not low, but not going ridiculous. But I think because the expectations were reasonably low, and then ever since the Celtic game, each game that has came along, the expectations has got slightly higher and higher. And I think we built up that expectations as fans. And I think because the last 3 games have not been up to scratch as what we have been. And yeah, look, I do agree with the fact that if you look into each game, and it's relatively simple to say, oh yeah, those were 2 drop points, those were drop points, that's and that. And yeah, I do think for some of the games, they were drop points. And in hindsight, I think generally, as we speak now, we should be sitting top of the league. You know what I mean? But I think, like I said, I think because we set ourselves high expectations as each game went along, I think that's what makes it maybe a tiny bit frustrating. But like we've said, where we are now compared to where we were 18 months ago, you've got to take that as a fantastic thing, though. I'm not saying that is all fucking amazing, this and that, but it is amazing in a sense of how we've turned it from where we are back then into where we are now. Like you said, mate, it isn't the night and day. And I think I am genuinely happy at where we are. I just think, frustratingly, I do think for certain games we could have been better, but you said yourself, mate, we are Hearts fans and we're fickle as fuck.
Yeah, every football fan is. Football fan is. But I mean, even just to go on that, we have had a very good start to the season.
We have, absolutely.
And
Could not agree
then
more.
You hear like you say about the expectations building from game to game, because it's not that like the games that we've won, in the most part, we've deserved to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, for me, makes me go slightly onto that frustrated side, because it's like, well, you know, we can turn up at home and absolutely blow away Motherwell, blow away Livingston, but we should be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, man, of course.
It's I know what you mean about the games that we've dropped points in that we probably should have won. But it's kind of like, you know, you see Joe Savage coming out. I don't know if you read it, but he did an interview,
right,
where he was talking about he wants to work for a club that's in the Champions League, and he's basically saying things like, you know, why shouldn't we be aiming to win the league? And this was before the Aberdeen defeat. But he was basically saying, why shouldn't we be aiming to win the league? Because, you know, it's there, so why not? So I admire that. I do. But it's the same as Robbie Nielsen coming out after every game and saying the objective is to win every week. It's nice to hear it, and it shows that
of course,
the manager and the team and everybody in the club wants to be successful and wants to achieve and wants to aim high. But you also have to have a bit of reality sometimes.
Of course, yeah, no, man, I get you.
An unbeaten run of 11 games was great. Like, okay, the momentum slowed down a little bit in the last 3 games, but I don't know, and I said it before, I just think the size of the squad that we have, as much as I like what Robbie's done and he's brought the average age down, and some of the players that have been brought in have done fantastically well.
Absolutely. I
still think that we're 1 or 2 short of having that complete group to be able to say, like, and it's such an obvious thing to say, but we need a striker. I love Nandule.
You read my mind, yeah.
I absolutely adore Armand Doulé, and I think he's a very, very good forward. Like, he scored goals in England at a decent rate. You know, I think it was at Blackpool, and he was the top goal scorer. So, you know, there is a striker in there. There is, but it's a case of, and I said it before, when he plays, we have to completely change how we play.
Yeah, which I don't really, I don't think a team should kind of change the way they play or revolve around the one sort of, the player, for then the team to not suffer, but to like get the consequences if it is to go, like, you know, the parachute. Like, I mean, a great example of that is with Ronaldo with the Man U, because, like, you know, I like in no way, shape. I mean, I would love to compare Nando, Cristiano.
I was going to say, is that where we're going?
I would love that. But I just, like, you know, I mean, I don't think a team should necessarily resort to change the way that they play just for one teammate. But at the same time, look, mate, because I never really got like a chance to say what I think. Look, I like Nando, I honestly do, and I would like to have him here if we're going into next sort of year. But the 3 games that he's played when he's stood in for the boys, like, there's just, for me personally, and again, it's not really fair to say about him, but I genuinely think he's more effective when he comes on. I don't think he's a starting player. Like, look, like you said, like, he was the highest scoring player when he was at the Blackpool, but I just genuinely think that he's an impact sub, and I don't think he's ever going to be that vocal point of being a main striker. Like, you know what I mean? And mate, how many times before the transfer window did shut, we needed another striker? Like, look, I was so glad that we got Ben Lloyd-Burn in, absolutely, but I don't know whether like to maybe sacrifice him to maybe get a striker in the same sort of was a caliber as him, but a striker. I don't know if that would have maybe been a bit more like sort of was it like sort of beneficial. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, since we're going down the Ben Woodburn route,
Hmm.
this is another player that for me has massively underperformed in terms of expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I think coming up from Liverpool, he's got a bit of caliber about him. He's got a bit of profile. You know, there's a player there. He wouldn't be on the books of Liverpool if he wasn't a player.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
But having come up here, it's so clear to me that Ben Woodburn is not a winger. And in terms of he's not a winger that you can play with Nandule,
Yeah.
is
Oh
what
yeah.
I'm going to say.
No.
Because
No.
I think with Nandule, I think you need wingers with pace, like we saw against St Johnstone, and I'll keep referencing that because that
Yeah.
is a
No. No.
moment
Please do.
that sums up what Nandule is about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he gets involved in the build up, he pokes the ball through to I think it was Benny, and then Benny plays the ball into Ginelli,
Mm-hmm.
and Ginelli finishes it brilliantly. And that's what Nandule can do. But it's Ben Woodburn is the sort of player I would actually quite like to see Ben Woodburn playing up front. I would. I think I think there could be an interesting thing there. And I've said it already on this podcast, as have you, that we feel once Ben Woodburn gets one, his confidence will go up.
Yeah.
And I hope that's the case. But I feel like the current system, unless Boyce is in the team, it doesn't fit Woodburn. He's not really a winger. He's more of a number 10. He's more of a sort of inside player, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, see, that I would be probably a bit more tended to like agree with if he were to be a number 10. But if I'm right in saying we've not really got a number 10 in the sense there's nobody really sitting behind the Boyce, because Boyce in himself actually kind of plays that number 10 role in the sense that he likes to kind of drop back.
Yeah.
I get what you actually mean, but I think just in terms of with Woodburn's size as well, like I could like not to kind of disrespect him, but I could genuinely see him being knocked about. Like, you know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
No,
not
that's
saying
true.
that in like a disrespectful way, but like, you know, was it the Boys has got like that strength to like kind of was it hold players back to like, you know, move the actual ball. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it just to see what it was like. I wouldn't ever to say like, oh no, like you actually can't. But personally, yeah, like it's a strange one, Alan. Like I would like to see it just out of more curiosity, but personally, I just don't think it would work.
It's one of those that we almost January, and I think Robbie Nielsen has already said that they're targeting a striker in January.
Yeah,
because that's what we need. Like,
yeah, 100%.
It's so blatant that we need another option, and that's not to belittle Nandule. That's not to
at all. No,
he's not the option, because he can do it.
He can. Yeah,
but the whole thing, and it's like I was going to say before, we have to change. Like in the last 3 games, or 2.5 when you count Nandule coming off the bench against Dundee, those last 2.5 games, the entire system has had to change.
Yeah.
And we were playing well and winning in the system the way we were playing it. So there's the momentum that's built up from that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Boyce, who is the most important player in this team, you could argue between him and Craig Gordon, but you know, Boyce is one of the most important players in this system.
Of course. Without
him, the whole system has to change. And that then stops that momentum, and we're starting again doing it differently. And as I say, I'm not going to trash Nandule because I like him.
No. Look, I think he does get like
we need an alternative. Yeah. We need an alternative striker that's closer. It's closer to the Liam Boyce profile.
Yeah, look, mate, like,
that's what we need.
It was either yourself or me that sort of like sort of was to mention this, but see if we still had Connor Washington in the actual team. I genuinely thought in the setup that we had back when, obviously, I don't think he got, like, he didn't play amazing. But again, I think that was just partly down to the system that we actually played. But see, if he was part of the system that we're in now, I genuinely think that he would do well in this. Like, you know, so
he would, and it's one of these things that, you know, there is a massive reliance on Liam Boyce to score goals in this team. I think I said it myself. Boyce is the top goal scorer with, what is it, 10 or 11 now?
I think it's 11, yeah.
And the second is Gary Mackay-Steven, who's got 3.
Yeah,
You know, the wingers need to contribute more. Benny and Devlin, they've not been brought in to score goals, but the odd one now and again would be nice. But again, it's not their game, so I'm not going to say that they need to score goals. But, you know, we need to get more out of that forward line, and I just don't know if we've really got that balance right yet.
Yeah.
Even when Boyce has been in the team with the wingers, I don't think the balance has quite been right. I think Barry Mackay's been fantastic since he's come in. I would love to see Barry Mackay and Gino play on the wings. Genuinely, I would play Barry Mackay off the left, Gino off the right, with Nanduli. Like, we'll see what happens with that. But look, the thing is, like, we'll probably go into it, but the Dundee United game is huge now. It's huge, and I don't know.
We have said this every single week. Like, every game's huge, but it is.
Well, it is.
It is huge, yeah.
And I said it before the game at Ibrox that I was looking forward to see how this team dealt with being off the back of a loss. You know, I want to see how they deal with that, because now, obviously, we've lost to Aberdeen. We didn't turn up by all accounts. We were average at best.
Oh, no, we weren't. But okay.
Well, yeah, that's being kind. That's being kind. But it's one of those. I want to see now how we react and how we say, okay, right, that wasn't us. You know, you spoke a little bit earlier about Cristiano Ronaldo. Look at Manchester United. They got absolutely slaughtered by Liverpool, and then bounced back and battered Tottenham 3-0 and got sacked. So it's when you get beaten, and make no mistake about it, I haven't seen the full Aberdeen game, as I said, but the highlights I watched were 99% Aberdeen chances, and I think the one Hearts highlight was the penalty.
Yeah, it was. Genuinely.
It gets to that way, and I just want to see us go out against Dundee United and go, right, you know, that wasn't us last week. This is us now, and get back at it again. That's what I want. Absolutely,
man. And I mean, do we want to speak about any more about this season so far, or in fact, scrap my words? How dare I? There was a few like sort of off the cuff questions actually asked you, so there's going to be more sort of quick fire like sort of ones at you. So I'll fire them away at you. So
go for it.
Since the season has started, who has been your signing of the seasons? It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
I know you said quick fire, but I could be here for a while.
I know. I have no idea why I said that, but cool.
I will go for Cammy Devlin. I know it's the most cliche of ones,
Tasty.
and it's probably the most common one, but yeah, Cammy for me has been signing of the season so far. But massive shouts to Alex Cochrane as well, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely, man. My one might cause a bit of a stir, actually, saying that. Mine's is actually Cammy Devlin. It is. I'm sorry. It is.
You had me thinking.
I know. Sorry. I know. Like, for all as much as I think, look, I think all of the players that we've brought in, barring fucking cheesy, I think they've all been amazing. Was it the Benny? I think has been ridiculously good, but the way that I think maybe Cammy Devlin kind of just slides ahead of him is that he's had. I don't want to say he's had more of an impact, but it's been more of an impact, if that makes sense, because the energy that boy has, like, it's just, he's everywhere. And you've said it like as well, like he's about the size like of this, but he'll jump for every header. He'll get to into any ball, any tackle, any chance. It, like, he's everywhere. And and I think that kind of, like, not that that's a bad side to was the Benny's game, but I think in terms of driving to the ball and maybe more specifically sprinting, I don't think Benny maybe necessarily has that as much as Devlin does. So, and I think give that boy like a few years and he'll be absolutely top class. It's
one of those, it was a choice between Devlin and Benny for me as well. I'll say I picked Devlin, and one of the main reasons why is that he's come from absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
Nobody knew anything about him, and he's just absolutely smashed it.
Yeah.
Benny obviously has a history in English football, Everton, so he's played at a decent level. He's played at a decent level, and we knew if we can get this guy up to fitness and standards, we've got a good player there. But Cammy Devlin's come in from Australia.
Yeah.
Nobody knew anything about him. And I think that's what makes it so much more pleasing, because you're like, this is a guy that was ultimately a punt from the recruitment team, and it's been unbelievable.
Yeah. So who has been the best player so far?
Liam Boyce. In fact, no. Craig Gordon. Craig Gordon. Craig Gordon. There you go.
Nice one. This can be maybe not a quick fire such, but is there any player you think that will be away in January, as soon as January? Please don't say Andy Halliday, please. I've been hurt enough throughout this last few weeks. I don't need more hurt, please.
Andy Halliday could be away next week.
Oh no, let me say that.
No. I'll go with, frustratingly and reluctantly, I'm going to go with John Souther.
Oh, I did not expect that. Oh, I did not expect it.
This is going to be as quick fire as I'll give you.
Thank you.
As the days have gone on and the weeks have gone on, I have grown less and less confident that man is signing a new contract. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I get you. I
think it needs to be a case of, if he's not going to sign a new contract, we need to move him in January to at least try and get some money. Because
I get you.
And I said this before, letting John Souther walk out the door of Tynecastle and go and sign for another club and we get nothing.
Criminal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those. I don't think anybody else. I think there will be interest probably in Benny, because he's known in English football, so they're probably going to be eyes on him. But I don't think it'll be a case of he's moving now. I think Souther is a reasonable, well, not reasonable, but is a realistic one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Fair. Yeah, no, I do agree. Again, frustratingly on that one, mate. But we've got two more. So, where is it? I've just lost it. No, sorry. I've only got one more, Alan. Where do you think Hearts will be at the end of the season? Now that we've had that first loss, it can go either way. It can go straight up, or in typical Hearts fashion, it can go fucking shit really quickly. So where do you think, in your gut of guts, where do you think we will be sitting at the end of the season?
I said in our predictions at the start of the season that 5th or 4th would be doable. I think end of the season, 3rd, 4th. I'm going to go 4th. And I don't like to. I'd love to see us 3rd, but I think 4th.
That's a safe option. Yeah, no,
if we can replicate what we've done in the first quarter going forward, there's no reason why we can't be 3rd. But
I like it.
It's one of those. Celtic have already got 2nd place. they're back to pushing Rangers again.
Annoyingly, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, talk of splitting the old firm. Don't get me wrong, if we get our act together and keep winning games, there's a possibility, but we've got to be a bit realistic now. And I think without, I know it was a quick fire answer and I'm giving you a long-winded
It's all
answer,
good, mate. It's all good. Don't worry.
I just think it's a case of reality has to kick in now.
Mm-hmm.
We were all kind of swept up in this unbeaten run and, oh yeah, no, we're going to split the old firm. Is there a title challenge and all this? We have to be a bit realistic now and say, okay, don't get me wrong, it would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing to see that. But realistically, and Joe Savage will be thinking the same.
Aye.
We didn't get promoted into the Premier League this season to go and finish second or third this season. That's the target. But if you don't make it, fourth for me, and I'll probably get pelters for it, and people will be saying, "Oh, be ambitious." Fourth for me would be acceptable.
Yeah. Aye. No. I agree with that, mate. I agree with that. And my answer is we're gonna win the league. So I'm ambitious as fuck. So that's me on that one. So just to wrap things off, Alan, as that was our season review thus far. As we said, we go into Saturday with the game at home to Dundee United, who are also sitting on 21 points as well as ourselves. You've said it already, Alan. This game is massive, and I do tend to agree as well. What do you expect to change on Saturday in terms of the actual team, and what would you personally like to see change?
I think, well, I hope at least that Boyce is back. I'm sure we'll probably hear more about that between now, because we're recording on the Monday night. This is Monday night. Obviously, the game's not till the weekend, so hopefully there's some more updates on Boyce between now and then, because he's so crucial to how we play. You said it just there. It won't be an easy game. Dundee United had a bit of a stuttering start, but they've kicked on a bit now and they've got some decent results. They lost the last time out against St Johnstone 1-0, and they drew with Livingston before that, but they've won the 3 before that.
Yeah.
They'd be very impressive against Hibs as well, I have to say. So it won't be an easy game. It will not be an easy game. But in terms of what I want to see, I think Ginnelly deserves to stay in the team, because I think he's done very well recently.
I would be intended to agree with that, yeah.
I think Benny and Devlin, if they're both fit and raring to go, should play. That's a no-brainer for me.
Of course.
Like I said, I'd like to see Barry Mackay and Gino in the same team.
Yeah.
But whether they can fit that in, I don't know. One thing is for sure, we won't see Andy Halliday. So that's something.
I'm so glad
he's suspended.
Something.
He's suspended, isn't he? He's suspended. That's why we won't see him. He'll be back.
You saved yourself there, mate. Saved yourself. Anyhow,
one man that will be back as well is Robbie Nielsen. He'll be back on the touchline. We haven't mentioned that. Obviously, he had his touchline banned for his antics after the Rangers game, so he'll be back on the sidelines as well. So that'll be nice. To see him back there. Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting, and I think, like I say, it's not going to be easy, but I hope that we go out to prove a point.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the only changes that I would maybe make, and this is genuinely all depending if the Boyce is back, but I believe I read somewhere that Robbie did say after the Aberdeen game that Boyce will most likely be back. I don't know. I can't really remember where I read it, but I'm pretty sure they said that he will be back. So, providing that he is, like yourself, I would like to see Mackay back in the team. Ginnelly, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be against that. Obviously, I wouldn't change the centre two of Devlin and the Benny. And I think the only thing that I would like to see, and again, if I get flack for this, okay, fine. But I would like to see, again, just more out of curiosity, to see how Taylor Moore in for Halkett. And I'm not saying that in the sense that Halkett's been playing bad, not at all. But, I'm going to use the example as when Mackay took over from DMS. Ever since then, he's been out of the team. Now, I'm not saying that to get Halkett out of the team, but at the same time, we've said as well, competition is good. And who knows, this might be like a good way to maybe kind of show the team that nobody is sort of indispensable. And I thought it, from a point of view, I thought it was a bit unfair that Moore got dropped for the Rangers game, because again, I don't think he put a foot wrong. I thought he did actually quite well in the games that he played. But I feel as if I don't like it. I feel bad saying that Halkett. I'm not saying Halkett should be dropped, but I don't see any reason why Moore can't do the same job and possibly maybe even a better job, if that's the right word.
No, I do agree with you. And I think as well, it's a case of if a player makes a mistake, they should know that their place is potentially in jeopardy. And Halkett, we've spoken about it. He made a couple of mistakes in the last 3 games. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against that. I certainly wouldn't be against that, but it'll be really interesting to see what Robbie does. He might even pick the same 11 just with Boyce back. He might maybe Boyce in for Nanduli because he might say this team's good enough, because it is good enough. We've seen it already. It is good enough. But we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely. And just to kind of almost wrap things off, we've just got a few things to add in. So obviously our head-to-head for the past 3 games have not been going ahead, and thank God, because the score would probably be the exact same. Let's just face facts.
Excuse me. I predicted a 1-1 against St Johnstone.
You predicted You predicted that without my the present, sir. So unfortunately, that does not count.
I could put the tweet up right now if I edited things, but I don't.
Who does the graphics, mate? Because I could genuinely put in you fucking nil, me fucking for 50, mate. So it's all good. But anyway, on that point, what is your prediction ahead of Saturday's game against Dundee United?
I will go for a 2-0 win.
And I am also going to go for a 2-0 win as well. So either way, where the scores are going to be the exact same, or they're going to...
We're not doing this right, are we?
I've just had a brainwave. I could literally say the exact same score as you for every single game, and then the score won't change. So I've won. Game over.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works. No. No way.
Mate.
One of these days, I'm going to ask you first your prediction, and you'll have to go first, and then I'll copy you.
But anyhow,
evil genius.
You know it. But last thing we do have to add to this, and it is quite a huge thing for ourselves as well as a podcast as well. Obviously, for most of yourself, you will have seen that as soon as Hibs stopped doing their actual physical match day programs, we then increased our match day program in terms of how much was it the pages are in the actual the physical program itself. So it's now a 60-page program, I'm right in saying now, and one of the sections included in it is the podcast section. Just to basically sort of give the podcasts a chance to actually have their views on whatever that may be about Hearts. And for the Dundee United game, we are going to be featured in said the program. So obviously, due to work, neither myself or Alan will be at the game. But if anybody buys one and they don't want it, send it our way because we want to get that bad boy framed and up on the fridge. So, if you do buy the program this week, and please check our article out written by Alan himself. If I'm right in saying, I'm pretty sure a few podcasts have been on it so far. I'm pretty sure This and My Story was the first. So, and
we're in next. That's it.
Yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure more of the Heart Slicks podcast will also make themselves known as well in this section. So, it is quite an interesting read. So, please check that out if you do buy yourself a match day program on Saturday against Dundee United. And I think that kind of wraps us up for this. Was a podcast, Alan?
Yeah, I would say so. Other than the giveaway, but we've already spoken about that. So.
Of course, yeah. and of course as well. Once we put up the podcast, when you're watching this, it'll be Monday that we're recording, as Alan said, and I think it's going to be a Thursday. I think this is going to be the only time that we're going to put it up on a Thursday, and then we'll hopefully be back to either the Monday or the Tuesday uploads. But if you want to get your hands on one of two, as Alan productively, I guess, I think is the word. Get your hands on it now.
I feel like I'm one of these, these QVC shoppers, like that shopping channel. That's what I feel like right now. I'm like,
I feel as if you should be on the Brucey's Price is Right, like in a skin tight dress, tits hanging out. Okay, just like it's just that'd be Alan. Don't make me excited, son. Jesus Christ. On that note, I think we're going to end the podcast there. But as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, as always. And again, if you are new to the podcast, please think about subscribing. We are Since I Was Young podcast. And if you want to get in touch with us through our socials as well, you can, all through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at SIWI Also, if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, we are at sinceIwasyoung1874@gmail.com. And if you want to get in touch with either myself or Alan, you can. Both of our links will be in the description for our Twitter pages. And yeah, it's nice to be back. So Alan, as always, sir, thank you very much for joining me. It has been a lovely night to just talk about and moan about Heart of Midlothian.
Not a problem, sir. The privilege is all mine.
Absolutely, sir. Once again, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.